I'm going to vote for this tonight. And I think that we have, we're taking the easiest things we have to cut, and that's the places that we spend way too much money. And when you look at life, you have to take the areas that the gentleman that talked to me so long about War Memorial cherishes, and that may not be one of the courses that gets taken. But people are passionate about their community center or their alert center or their activity center. But we can't be everything to all people. And I would urge us to look at more of these areas where we spend an inordinate amount of money that people love, but we're spending too much money on them. And I think the issue with the golf courses is one where we all need to be involved with the participation with it. And this calls for cutting of 2 golf courses, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then
repurposing of 2 golf courses.
It calls for closing of 2 golf courses and repurposing those 2. And we don't know which ones yet. Then I would make a amendment to this that we give you and your group 2 to 4 weeks to come up with a proposal and bring it back to us to vote on up or down.
Parliamentarian, and the only reason why I say parliamentarian, just because the question was Director Hendricks from Director Campuris was he wanted to make an amendment to the budget ordinance to have a proposal on which of the 2 golf courses, 2 to 4 weeks, to repurpose and to bring back before the board. The only question is, because since it's a parliamentarian, it is a budget ordinance, and that flies in the face of governance structure, because when you make a budget ordinance based on dollars, it's not based on programming. And so could you please clarify?
Thank you.
Because I would think from the governance standpoint, that's a management decision. Again, just in the essence of, we can commit to you right now that we'll come back before the board with our thoughts on what we plan to do. And again, we're not going to move without having a conversation with each board member, but ultimately that's a management decision.
Well, I agree with that, but I want to be able to say to people that we have a vote in it, and participating in voting is a different thing, and you know, you and I may just have to disagree on how we decide things. I think your decisions that you've made, if you look at this budget ordinance, is that you and Sarah and Bruce decided where to cut, what positions to cut, and you brought those back, correct?
Yes, as members of the management, that's our governing structure, yes.
And all I'm saying is you apply that same principle to these golf courses. I'm going to vote tonight to close 2 golf courses, and as the management, I think you need to come back and say, these are the 2 I want to do. This is what how I'm going to do to repurpose them, and then we need to vote on that.
Totally understand. We just need to have clarification from a parliamentarian and legal standpoint.
I'm worried about the germaneness of the amendment, and this is my concern. If you're going to vote for the budget reduction, then it can't be contingent on something in 2 weeks that would undo it. And that's essentially what you're asking. Is it 2 weeks, you come back, or 4 weeks, whatever it turns out to be? And
no. Let me just explain again, Tom. I'm going to vote for closing 2 golf courses completely.
But Director Campuris, that's you. I don't know. There's 11 people on the board, and
well,
some may think 1 golf course, and some may think 3 golf courses. What I'm trying to get at is that you're saying, okay, we're going to cut 2 golf courses, and that's fine. But what does that do to the overall budget adjustment if, when they come back with the proposal, it doesn't pass?
Well,
what does that do to the budget? That's where I'm concerned in terms of germaneness.
Then we go back and figure out another way of repurposing those golf courses.
But Director Campuris, again, we really have, this is the reason why we have a city attorney and parliamentarian. You really are crossing the line between policy and management on that, and I would just caution us from that standpoint. But what I will do is that I will commit to make certain before any decision is made that I, as the mayor, will come before you and share the thought process on that decision making. And clearly, I mean, if I go against those majority of those decisions, it's on me at the end of the day.
Well, but
from that what I'm sharing is from a governance standpoint.
I think that you can accomplish what you want to do with your vote on the budget and a motion that will be in 2 weeks. We will have a discussion on the golf courses that will be led by the mayor and the manager. And because that gets the definite vote in there and it doesn't impact whether or not the budget gets changed because you disagree on the golf courses.
Well,
that's the concern I've got.
My concern is that that there is, you've got Ken who said that he wants one golf course kept open, which is fine. I think that's a laudable thing. We've got a group of people out here that said they want War Memorial.
One second, Director Hendricks. We got to let Director Compurius. Yeah, we got to let Director Compurius complete the statement. Director Compurius.
I'm counting to 10, so I don't say the wrong thing. There are a number of people. This is an issue. The biggest issue that I hear is what Doris just got through saying a little while ago, that we don't have the say in what we do. Did I put words in your mouth, Doris? And all I want to be able to do is to be in public to have a discussion on how to take care of this problem. So if the way to do it is pass this, if you can find 5 other people to vote for it, pass it tonight, and then have part of this be in 2 weeks. We come back and have a discussion on this.
Right, and that is the proper subject of a motion if you wish to have that passed tonight also.
Fine.
Yes, and I'm definitely amenable to having the discussion in 2 to 4 weeks. All those in favor of, yes, ma'am, Director Adcock?
You're not saying that in 2 weeks this board will have a vote on it. You said in 2 weeks we will listen to the mayor, right? Because I cannot support that. I will support the fact that this board in 2 weeks will have a decision, a vote, in what golf courses will close. But I cannot support just listening in 2 weeks to somebody's what they suggest.
The motion that was proposed that was discussed, is that there would be a time 2 weeks from now when the mayor and the manager would come back and say what is intended to be done with the golf courses to be presented to the board. Now, I took that the board would vote, but I may have been wrong on that.
So the board would have the final vote on the 2 golf courses.
The problem, Director Adcock, is that, there's a lot of things that can be done. He could come back and say, let's sell this park. That's how we're going to deal with it. Well, no park is going to be sold unless you bid it, unless you have a vote to pay for it and allow him to sign the deeds to do that. He may come back and say, let's make this all walking trails and it's a golf course now. And if that happens, then that's repurposing, and y'all can agree or disagree. But I can't right now think through everything that could happen in 2 weeks between the mayor and the manager as to how they're going to address that issue. That's my concern. They may come back and say, we'll have 3 golf courses, we'll close 1 golf course, and this is how we'll make it all work. I don't know how that's going to happen.
And here's
one second, Dean. 1 second.
No, it's fine.
Again, that's a great example, and Dean, I'll give you an example of how things. One, we have to make certain we stay in line with governance. I understand that many people may not want the mayor as the chief executive officer to make a decision, but that's what I was elected to do, and you were elected to do policy. That is what it is from that standpoint. Secondly, again, I think I got enough good common sense to make certain that I come before this board and listen to you and weigh it and make a decision in consultation, which I commit to doing. And then finally, we're not going to have an answer, and we can come back and discuss it, but if I'm being very honest, we're not going to have an answer in 2 weeks anyway, because you have, as we shared earlier, it's due diligence. Dean, when I was a highway commissioner and you were clear on the board, we were working along the different things with Interstate 30 crossing. I think a great example is this was there was some contemplation that there could be some commercial activity where the parkland is that's going to be there. And so we were met with a family that I didn't realize owned that land back in the 1940s. And it stipulated, it states that if any commercial activity goes on, that land reverts back to that family. Hence the reason why that parkland is going to remain parkland, so the state and the city can enjoy in it. Those are the type of things that happens in the due diligence process. We can come back and share some indication, but it's going to take a lot of work to come make those type of decisions. What I ask, just like Director Peck said, that's going to be a huge thing for our city. We got to make certain that everyone is at the table, all voices are heard, because that's also going to have to play a role in our Parks Master Plan. We know that Director Eckert is still working on that. What I'm sharing with the board, we're going to make certain that we're talking about a decision that's going to is really for our future, the next 20, 30, 40 years. I want to make certain that everyone has a seat at the table, and then we'll make a decision. And so, again, the question on the floor is that we'll come back in 2 to 4 weeks and discuss. And again, I'm sharing with you, I'm pretty certain that we're not going to know all the due diligence factor in 2 to 4 weeks. But if we don't, we'll come back again and discuss every time before a final decision is made. And I give you my word that I won't make a decision without at least first talking to you. Now, that decision may not be what you want. And I don't even know what that decision is. But all I can do is stand on my word. And I'm publicly saying it for all the world to hear. All those in favor, please say aye. His is the amendment. He's trying to make, Director Computers is trying to make an amendment.
Well,
yes.
The amendments, I ruled that the amendment was not germane, so
Yes.
your vote is now the ordinance.
You ruled it was not germane because it has no money. Thank
ordinance.
you. Hold on one second. Hold on. I'm going to get to everybody. I'm going to get to everyone. So parliamentarian, could you restate for everyone? You ruled that the amendment was not germane because it wasn't budgetary, correct?
Yes.
Right. So what I'm sharing, since that's not germane, the next step is that we make a vote on this budget amendment. But what I'm sharing before everyone, that we're going to come back in 2 to 4 weeks and do some due diligence. And I'm sharing even in that 2 to 4 weeks, it's still not going to be enough information. And we're going to keep coming back to this board as we make this decision and present to the board for conversation, for discussion. And I will definitely listen to this board as much as possible and do what's right for the citizens of this city that's fiscally responsible for our taxpayers. Director Hines. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Director Hines.
So as a point of order, in order for Dean to make that motion, we'd have to do it after we deal with the budget amendment, correct? Okay. So, and then I also have another point of order to clarify. Based on Director Fortson's amendment to the budget that was amended by him to state that we would give the Chamber of Commerce the 100,000 prorated 50, and that the difference would come out of the expense in general administration. That is a specific line item in the budget. Are you telling this body that we cannot make a specific budget amendment and direct the mayor and the city manager where to make those cuts?
Not at all. I'm telling you that as the discussion was at that time, if you cut it from one place, you need to be able to, if you add it from one place, you need to say where you're going to cut it from. And what I said is that if you want to make it general administration, that's enough of a topic that you can delegate that authority to management to make that cut. If you want to say it's going to come from the zoo, you can do that. And that's where it'll have to come from. Okay,
but that's not what you said. That I think some of my fellow members up here were under the impression that we couldn't direct which area of the budget to cut it from. So general administration would be the city manager's office and the mayor's budget, correct? Because the community program, city attorney, finance, human resources, planning and development, Parks and Rec, Housing and Neighborhood Programs, the Golf, Zoo, Fire, and Police are all lined out as specific line items in the expense budget. Am I not correct?
Right, but I mean, the reason I hesitated, general administration or those two offices include things like the television station and other matters like that that are under one of those offices.
Correct, but Parks and Rec is not under general administration, correct?
No, it's a general fund item, but not a general
Right, but
administration.
general administration expense is a specific line item in the budget, a specific department with departments with that. So if,
And that also includes, correct me if I'm wrong, that also includes boards of directors, correct?
Right, but if I may, this is really moot because you defeated the motion.
Exactly.
I just
Carry
wanna-
on with
I
the
just
motion.
wanna- I just
All
wanna
those in
clear-
favor, please say aye.
Of what?
This is for the ordinance.
For the ordinance. All those in favor, please say aye. The budget amendment ordinance. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Roll call.
Director Hendricks,
Are you voting no or for the? We're voting for the budget amendment. Are you voting yes or no? Yes. Okay.
Director Richardson,
Present.
Director Webb, Director Peck, Director Hines,
No.
Director Wright,
Yes.
Director Campuris, Director Fortson,
Yes.
Director Adcock,
No.
Vice Mayor Wyrick.
It's defeated.
The motion has been defeated.
Actually, not necessarily.
Actually not, because I can vote yes.
Can't vote, but Director Richardson has to be asked if he wishes to change his vote from present.
Director Richardson, would you wish to change his vote from present?
No.
All right, he wishes not to change his vote from present.
Failed.
It has now failed. Again, we'll come back before the board.
Move adjourned. Second.
There's a motion. And before we adjourn, I take the motion again. I want to make certain that this board understands this is disappointing. We have people's lives that are being held up at the balance. I want to make sure everyone understands that your vote for no just put people's lives in balance again for another 2 weeks. We have to cut this budget that you passed in 2018. This is disappointing. I understand you may not want a mayor that has executive power, but the people of Little Rock elected a mayor to have executive power, and this is what it means. I understand that. All of this interest in the questions that we have before us, please, when we do prepare a 2020 budget, please have the same questions, because all these questions you have today, you did not have in November and December of 2018. So again, this is disappointing.
Called it back. Move adjourned. You called it back.
I haven't taken up the motion yet.
You called it back to vote.
Excuse me?
You say you called the vote. You made a question.
Parliamentarian, can I call it back to vote?
No.
Vote's been taken.
The vote's been taken.
The vote is.
I understand, but we call it back to vote is the question.
No, not without unanimous consent of the board.
All right. I'm going to ask, there was been a motion to,
Now, let me clarify.
let's
Mayor.
make sure.
Because Director Richardson's the
Are
one
you
that
asking that
raised-
you want to change your, is that what, he wants to change his vote?
He wishes to do that and gets unanimous consent of the board.
Yeah.
I wish to change my vote.
Director Richardson is asked to change his vote. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Hey.
Ayes have it.
No, it fails. It's got to be unanimous.
Has to be unanimous. This is true. It failed. Again,